Welcome to the Manuchehri podcast. Over the last 30 years, it has been my joy to assist humanity in aligning with their magnificence so they may heal, discover their natural gifts, and communicate with loved ones living on the other side. May you also experience delight while we dance in the powerful, intuitive world of energy. Let's get going. Welcome to our Energy Meets the Divine. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy we're all here together. And I want to talk about something really exciting. As an intuitive and a psychic, it's not uncommon to get collective information that's downloaded into your awareness. Sometimes after an event has occurred, and some psychics get information before an event occurs. I remember before a major earthquake in Japan, I was walking around a lake with a friend. It was a couple of days before. And it felt like to me like the earth was shaking, and as if the lake, and it wasn't a big lake, it was a small lake, was waving, just like this interesting wave, kind of like what people experience when they're in an earthquake. It feels like there's a wave underneath a building. And I thought, that's really interesting. And I said to myself, it feels like an earthquake. And I was walking with a friend, and my friend didn't have the same experience. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's really interesting. And then we had a major earthquake in Japan. So getting information for the collective is really fun and interesting and inspiring. You get to know yourself better. You feel like you're connected to the world in ways that you didn't realize, like living in Seattle and feeling like there's an earthquake, which will happen in a couple of days in Japan. It helps you feel connected to everything. And what I think is what's critically important is when you're having collective experiences, try to stay out of fear. Remember, fear is an illusion. It's created by your ego. And the one thing the ego wants you to do is to not evolve in your multisensory ability. It wants you to stay in fear. It wants you to stay somewhat disconnected so that you continue to be dependent upon the ego. It doesn't want to become extinct, which it will continually fade away as more and more people wake up consciously, start to use their intuition, don't react to fear, because you're not supposed to react to fear. Whenever we need to have a reaction to fear, it's a late stage. It means intuition has been there multiple times before. It's brought you information. We didn't listen to it. We didn't follow it, something of that nature. And now something's about to happen that could have been avoided, or it could have been reduced, or it could have been shown as an incredible experience for you. And so when we are in real reaction, like a fight or flight response, that's very different than when we're listening to our intuition. And again, most fight or flight responses are mind-made. They're not even authentic. Like probably 98% of the fight or flight experiences the majority of the population have nothing to do with anything that's going on in their life. So it's a complete, total waste of energy. But what I'm trying to say is that I had a collective awareness that humanity is getting like a download. It's as if angels or galactic beings are flying around the universe and helping to upgrade people. And I've certainly seen this. It definitely was how I felt like my experience expanded, my multisensory psychic experience expanded, as I felt like a switch was turned on or a lever was pulled. Something in my body shifted. My state of consciousness shifted. My awareness changed. I definitely became more of a quiet individual, didn't speak as much. Obviously, I speak a lot in my work, but not as emotionally in that drama kind of energy. So what I'm seeing collectively is beings affecting massive populations of people, not just here and there. And you can, when you have an awakening and you start to become more multisensory and naturally where it just starts to occur, you recognize other people who have the same experiences that you have. You feel it with them and you connect with them. It's a very interesting feeling. It's kind of like golden doodles. I know Charles is a golden doodle and I always talk about him, but they recognize each other all the time. If I take Charles to the park or I'm walking in the neighborhood, he locks eyes with other doodles. They don't even have to be golden doodles. They're just some sort of poodle mixture, and they recognize each other. They know each other. They know their cousins. He doesn't have that same experience with other breeds of dogs, not typically, but definitely with doodles. So that's what happens when you have a shift in your consciousness and you're around other people who've had a similar experience, you recognize each other. There's a connection, there's a knowingness with one another. It's really quite profound, and you feel heard and seen. You don't have to explain yourself very well. You know, there aren't a lot of logical questions like, well, why did that happen? Or how come that's happening right now? There's not a lot of that type of conversation going on because you're in the nothingness, you're in the high frequency and the vibration of a different realm of existence. So what I'm trying to say is I think a lot of people, and we've been saying this for a while, you know, people are going to be waking up, but I think there's a galactic presence, spiritual or otherwise, universal, you know, from far away from the earth, that is participating in the upgrading of human consciousness. So that means like something's been missing, of course, you know, in the vibration or the chemistry or the genetic aspect of humanity. And that's why some people act so different and they feel so different in the world, as if their genes are somehow different. So something's definitely happening. We just finished an eclipse in Virgo. We're moving into the second eclipse, which I think is in Pisces. Sorry, I'm not an astrologer. At the end of this month, at the end of March. So we're still very much in eclipse energy. And Neptune, the very next day, is going to move into Aries on March 30th. So this is a powerful, powerful time. A lot of things are happening that have never happened before or haven't happened for hundreds and hundreds of years. Like there's nobody on earth that has lived through this astrological shift. And also we're having an awakening. So we might be having parallel awakenings, very different. Charles just opened the door. Hi, Charles. So we can have parallel awakenings where beings are having more conscious, multisensory perceptions and awareness and noticing that nature is alive, that animals actually communicate with people all day long. It's not complicated. I'm always surprised when I'm around people who don't think their animals talk to them. I think it's very weird. It's a sign to me like, okay, this is not a very conscious human being, because they actually make jokes about their pets in an unkind way because they don't think their pets understand or they don't think their pets have emotions. It's very weird. So we're having kind of a parallel awakening because people are going to have more multisensory experiences, where there are times I walk Charles and I can hear complete sentences coming from him, like a whole paragraph. And of course, I feel very connected to him. I know what he wants, like all of you who have pets, you know what they want. Like he stared at me for like 45 minutes earlier because he really wanted to walk. So I had to postpone recording this so I could take him on a walk because it's really pretty right now in the Northwest. I'm recording today on March 16th, 2025 in the Pacific Northwest. So the other parallel awakening is, I think, a lot of people who aren't that awake, who aren't that conscious. And remember, it's not a race. Everybody gets to be in their own unique realm of traveling through the cosmos, and they all get to have their own spiritual awakening or just consciousness. But a lot of people are going to start to get kinder to others. They're recognizing like, oh, we actually have to take care of everyone on the planet. We can't just take care of certain groups of people. Everybody needs health care. Everybody needs education. Everyone needs to feel safe. So there's a bunch of people who didn't necessarily feel that way for some weird, bizarre reason, which I don't get. We need more mediums, souls on the planet who can stand in between younger souls and older souls and say to younger souls, knock it off, and say to the older souls, it's okay, everything's fine. We don't have a lot of medium souls on earth right now. So there is that awakening too, where we have younger soul people who are going to start to gain compassion, probably because a lot of their things are suddenly being taken away from them, or they're being potentially taken away from them, and they realize that their things are part of everybody's stuff. Like we all have one big sand bucket to play in, and we all have to share, and everybody gets a little bit of the sand. So that's kind of interesting. And maybe in order to have this galactic kind of DNA, RNA stimulation that allows for a vibrational shift. That's why I always ask people to stay in joy, stay in happiness, recalibrate to that joy, because that allows one to be intuitive and conscious and aware. It's the vibration closest to God, closer to unconditional love. is joy and happiness authentic for the person? So we're having this, unique calibration, which I think is helping, because if we have a bunch of human beings who are now going, oh, I guess we have to care about everybody. We can't just care about certain people or certain genders or certain, educated people or whatever the ridiculous ramifications were, that we don't get to care about everyone because that's ridiculous. But when there's compassion increasing and certain awarenesses of other people, that could help for the galactic shift, because we all need a shift in consciousness, but it's not even close to normal for us to assume that everyone's going to have the same type of awakening. If that can't happen, we have too many different types of beings on the earth realm, and many beings are wanting to have different types of experiences. So we can't have that. It's just going to be different. It's going to be a shift in consciousness and an awareness, and the multi-universes are participating. They are participating. It kind of reminds me, and I'm just using this as an example. I'm not saying there's a coming of Christ. I'm not saying that at all. But before Christ came, a lot of humans, with the help of galactic beings, created pyramids all over the earth, And that was to help raise the frequency and the vibration for Christ consciousness, so that when that energy came to earth, it could be sustained, right? Because it's a very high frequency. It's a very compassionate energy. And earth was far less compassionate than it is today. Far less compassionate. We're more compassionate than we've ever been. We live closer than we ever have before. And we are less violent than we've ever been. I know that sounds crazy, but it's true. It's very true. So how can you help with your own galactic or, quantum expansion of your multisensory ability? It's actually easy. At least I think it's easy. I've already reported many things that one can do, but this is what you got to get really good at it. You need to consistently remain out of fight or flight. That means you're going to have internal conversations with yourself that are loving and compassionate. You're going to tell yourself the truth. You're going to step away from bleeding heart syndrome, where you're feeling overly empathetic for everyone. Everyone has guides. Everyone has angels. Everyone is loved, adored, and cherished, and people are having their own experiences. It doesn't mean we can't help if it brings us joy. Great. But if we're wasting our energy because we're forcing ourselves to do something that's not in alignment for what's in our best interest, that's not helpful. And I think people who are going to have more of this multi-universal expansion through help, from this quantum help of consciousness from other beings and other dimensions, that the emphasis is to focus on yourself. That's really how we actually help the rest of the universes, is to be self-focused, not to harm anything or ignore, but not to be so empathetic that it crushes us. We can't move, we can't talk, we can't function. That's not healthy for anyone at all. So I don't know if I've ever shared this before, but there is another kind of quantum assistance that the earth realm gets many times over. And that is, the universes are not excited about potential nuclear war. Now, don't drop your energy. When I talk about this, you want to keep your energy elevated. This is just fun information. And so they actually work on our behalf to make sure that doesn't happen, because nuclear war type energy, I mean, we know that nuclear power, when it doesn't do well and starts to leak into the soil, so I'm not a fan of nuclear energy. We don't know how to store it at all. We don't know how to store uranium. We don't know how to keep it in a container long enough for it to even reach its half-life. Like, it's not a smart energy source, in my opinion. So all these galactic beings, or lots of galactic beings, work on our behalf to avoid nuclear war, because it will affect the universes. If we have that much nuclear power and energy in terms of destruction happening on the planet, it's not good for the solar systems. And so they work on our behalf to make sure that we avoid that, which is lovely. So far, so good. Well, kind of. We've had, unfortunately, from the US, as we all know, nuclear war. So you're going to stay out of fight or flight. You're going to meditate first thing in the morning or before you go to bed, go meditate for 5 or 10 minutes. 15 would be ideal. But 5 minutes, great. 10 minutes, build on it. Reduce watching negativity on television, horror movies, news, crime, true crime shows. Although they are interesting, it's a low frequency, it's a low vibration. If you need to watch television, try to watch something that's happy and uplifting and positive for you. Do things that make you happy. Yes, like it would have been nice if I created this lovely podcast a little earlier, but I had to go take Charles on a walk because he was staring at me. And we had a lovely walk. It was so fun. I even walked longer than we normally do. He's now crashed up in a corner right now, although he might need another walk in a couple hours. Okay, so that's what I wanted to talk about at the beginning of our time today here on March 16th. Remember, you are in powerful eclipse energy, and eclipse energy wants you to rest. There's already so much back and forth and subatomic particles going on, and astrological powers and galactic powers, universal powers, that you really need to rest. And at the same time, something is being brought to your consciousness to highlight something that you've been ignoring or not looking at or refusing to pay attention to. That's what eclipses do. And that's why we need to have rest so we can look at it and go, okay. And then hopefully you have the courage and the joy and the delight to do something about it. Whatever that is, whatever's been brought to your consciousness. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and go to the phone lines now. For those of you who are listening for the first time, welcome. I'm a medium and an intuitive healer. I live outside of Seattle, and people leave me questions on my website, on the podcast page. You leave a voicemail. I play them here and answer them. And as everyone knows, we have a lot of questions. So you might have to wait a while, but I very much enjoy this. So thank you so much for leaving these voicemail messages. I truly appreciate it. Thank you.
Hi, Marie. My name is Kathy. I live in Dillon, Colorado, and I recently started listening to your podcast after learning about you through the Meditation Conversation podcast with Kara Goodwin. I have 1,000 more questions, but I'll limit mine today to 2. The first one is related to a hysterectomy I had about 15 years ago. It was for medical reasons. I have 4 healthy adult children, beautiful adults. And, but anyway, I did have this hysterectomy. And since then I've done a lot of like energy healing sessions and crystal bowl healings and things like that. And I've always wondered if having had the hysterectomy affects my ability to have, to really fully heal and participate fully in these sessions. And I've asked a couple of people, but no one really, everybody seems to be stumped by the question. And I thought maybe you might have some insight on that. My second question is related to sleep. I've always been a very light sleeper, but in the past, 10 years, it started to bother me more. And at first I took prescription medication and then also some herbal treatments, and none of those really seemed to work, and I didn't really like using them. So I quit, about 5 years ago. And since then I've been really trying to just do behavioral modifications, like going to sleep at the same time in a dark, cool room, et cetera, et cetera. But it is very rare for me to get a really good night's sleep. But when I do, I tell my husband the next day, I could literally change the world if I slept like that every night. And so that's like once every 2 years, I'll have a sleep like that. But then most nights I'll sleep for like 3 hours, then an hour and a half, and then an hour and a half, and then an hour and a half, and then I'll wake up and I'm fine. But sometimes, and probably like once every 2 weeks, I'll have a night where I'll get 3 hours of sleep and then maybe, just lie in bed staring at the wall for the other time. Plus, when I do sleep, I have really not good dreams. And it really, I don't know, it just makes me sad. And when I wake up, I don't really often feel rested. So I wonder if you have any insight as to what is going on with me, that might help. And yeah, so that's my second question. I hope I didn't ramble too much. I really appreciate you, and thank you for what you do.
You're welcome, Kathy. So the sleep and the hysterectomy potentially are related, or even just your chronological age and potential hormone changes. When hormones change, a lot of women don't sleep. So if they left your ovaries, if they were medically able to leave your ovaries, then that can be positive for your rest. But if you are menopausal, regardless from ovaries being removed or just because of chronological age changing at this time, we're already living longer. So women are going to keep their hormones longer, have children later in life, continue to do that, or at least feel like they have more options. Oh, I could wait another 10 years. I don't have to hurry up and be in geriatric pregnancy at 36, which I think is ridiculous, by the way. I think that's ridiculous. But at any rate, we need our hormones to sleep, progesterone mostly, but if we're taking estrogen, then we have to take progesterone. Or I think it's if you take estrogen, you have to take progesterone. That's what it is. So it won't matter how hard you work at it. It's just, you're not going to get recuperative rest. You need REM sleep. You need 3 to 4 hours at least of REM sleep, and then other forms of sleep to be recuperative. And I know what you mean about you have a night, you have incredible sleep and like, oh my gosh, you could change the world, right? That's very cool. So if your medical situation for the hysterectomy allows you to take hormones, I would highly recommend bioidentical hormones that are compounded. Those have far less side effects, they're plant-based, so they're not like horse urine or whatever else Western medicine uses in their hormones, which I don't recommend people, men or women, to use Western medicine's hormone replacement therapy. I don't think it's healthy. It can lead to cancer. It doesn't mean that bioidentical couldn't possibly as well, but I do have several clients who, on their own, they made their own decisions, who survived cancer. I'm so proud of them, but decided to do bioidentical hormones. And they haven't had any health issues related to it, but it was their own personal decision that they made that choice, just to give themselves, more of what they wanted out of life. But so far, everybody's doing great. So that's what needs to happen. And when you're having the sadness, it's because you're not getting enough recuperative rest. That's why you're having problems in sleeping and dreaming. You're not getting enough sleep. So that's what needs to happen. Yes. Okay. I hope that's helpful. Thank you.
Hi, Marie. Again, thank you for this wonderful opportunity that you offer us. And I have a question regarding a brother of mine who left consciously the earth plane at 33. My name's Judy. I'm from Texas. And I was told by a friend who is psychic at that maybe 5 years afterwards, he left in about 1983, that he was in the astral plane. Since then, I've heard he's not there anymore. And I wanted to know, sometimes you mention people choosing to hang out in the astral plane. And I'm wondering why and what does that mean? What are they experiencing? If you don't mind elaborating, I appreciate it very much. Also, I'd like to know where my brother is and how he's doing. I've heard he's with our mother, which is awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome,
Bye-bye.
Judy. Oh, you're welcome, Judy. So I'm sorry about your brother crossing over. He's right by you. He's just hanging right by you. You're right. He's not in the astral plane. He's in the other side. He does do adventures into other dimensions because there's probably millions, maybe even billions of other dimensions and realities that exist. The astral plane. So it's not uncommon for people to spend some time in the astral plane. People can spend a year or years. Ghosts, which are a very small percentage of the population, which your brother is not one, they can spend, eternity there if they want to, or at least that aspect of their soul, because we're having multiple lifetimes all at the same time. So the part that we bring to earth is just a part of our huge, humongous soul that is really quite gorgeous. So the astral plane is cool. It's where a lot of psychics sit in the astral plane, people who are mediums like myself, because then as beings are coming across to come to Earth, they can communicate with them. It's a great way to visit the Akashic Records is located on the astral plane. It's a very busy psychic reality, huge. And so your brother, he didn't really like Earth very much. I'm sorry, but he did not. And when he left his body, when his energy left his body, he was in the astral plane and he loved it. He didn't have pain, mental pain, physical pain. He was out of pain, and he was so happy. That's why he stayed in the astral plane for as long as he did, because he was enjoying himself. And some people who are on the course of crossing over will maintain their energy on the astral plane for a while because they just want to be close to their family and friends, which doesn't mean once you get to the other side that you're not close. It's just different. And a lot of people are still thinking from a logical perspective, like, oh, the astral plane's right next to Earth. The other side is on the other side of the astral plane. You know, it goes the third dimension, the fourth dimension, the astral plane, the fifth dimension, heaven for our Earth, or the other side. So he just was having fun and enjoying himself and feeling good. He was kind of surprised and shocked by it. And it is a very busy psychic realm. When I'm doing past life readings, I'm in the astral plane. So, yeah, it's powerful. It's cool. It's interesting. And when people's energy leaves their body, they get a lot of awareness and consciousness they did not have previously when they were in a physical form. And that's also exciting to be in the full aspect or fuller aspect of your energy, to have so much awareness, to have a better understanding of your life, of your previous lifetimes, of your family members, your friends, of future lifetimes. It's just incredibly cool and interesting. So he loved it. He loved the astral plane. But he's sitting by you, kissing you on top of your head and on your left temporal area, kind of on your cheek. And he goes, yeah, I see Mom from time to time. He goes, I see a lot of people. You guys have a lot of family over there. So he hangs out with a lot of people and he's doing great. He's enjoying himself. And the only thing he wishes is that he had left sooner. He just really didn't like Earth. And so I'm having a telepathic conference with him while I'm translating for him to you. And he says that he wanted to reincarnate this most recent time to Earth to learn how to be happy on Earth. And he goes, yeah, I don't know if I'm going to try to do that again. He's not so sure. So we'll see if he reincarnates back to Earth. It's not a requirement to evolve. You can live anywhere in the universe and grow consciously. Okay, thank you. Great question.
Hi, Marie. This is Lisa in Seattle, Washington. I was wondering if you could just do a scan on my body and see if your guides and my guides would like to offer some advice on how I can improve my health and wealth. I feel that I've been self-sabotaging for a while, and I know you speak a lot about self-love and the importance of that. So I feel like I know a lot of basics, but I'm continuing to go around and around on the hamster wheel. So if you, your guides, my guides, have any suggestions on how I can overcome these challenges in this lifetime, I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much for everything you do. Bye-bye.
You're welcome. I think it would be good for you because when I draw out your energy, your question sounds familiar to me. You had a leak in the first chakra. So if you could create a different family in your energy system, like in your mind, create a different home that you grew up in with different parents, and allow these parents to give you everything that you didn't get from your original family, whatever that is. And I would do this for like 15 minutes, 3 to 4 times a day for months. I would work on getting a different experience because everything is about perception, regardless of what's happened in our lives. If we can change our perception about it, have a different experience, have a different belief about it, then the old belief system dissipates and goes away. Yeah. The root chakra connects to the first layer of the auric field, and the first layer of the auric field is a hologram of everyone's anatomy and physiology in complete and total health. And when we're taking in a lot of energy from the root, because we're supposed to, then the hologram can work. And the hologram's job is to remind us what health looks like, remind the body, all the anatomy and physiology of what health looks like. So it trains the physical form how to stay healthy or how to regain health. And the first chakra is about first family, our childhood growing up. And I think that you need to create a different experience from your childhood. Yeah, a new one, a new childhood experience. I think that would be in your best interest. Okay, well, thank you everybody for listening today. I hope you're having a lot of fun. I hope that you're learning to stay aligned into your autonomic system that allows you to have wisdom, health, and well-being so that you can emerge into higher levels of consciousness and have a phenomenal multisensory experience while you're here on Earth. And I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye for now.